Hey, what's going on, ladies and gents? How you people doing here? So I just got done watching the Jake Paul and the Nate Diaz fight on a Saturday night, and all I have to say is what a goddamn fight this freaking was, first of all. Jake Paul, man, hey, let's be honest here. Say what you want about Jake Paul, but when it comes to boxing, man, I think he is really making himself out to be a boxing legend, especially if we look at it maybe 10, 15 years from now on. Jake Paul, slowly but surely in the making, is a legend, whether people like it or not, just because, you know, from what I've seen from Jake Paul tonight, man, in the first round, you know, I kind of had a feeling that Jake Paul was going to win this fight, especially the way how he started off the fight in the first round. He just went out all swinging on Nate Diaz, but I mean, you still got to give Nate Diaz props, though. I mean, he made this fight super, super difficult for Jake Paul, and that's what it's like, you know, for a professional boxing, for a professional, I mean, MMA fighter. You know, Nate Diaz, man, he really just made life super difficult for Jake Paul tonight, that he was slowly but surely putting up a big, massive challenge against him. The only difference, though, is with Jake Paul, man, I feel like that in the first, that after the first round ended, I feel like that's when Jake Paul just got all the momentum on his side, while Nate Diaz was desperately trying to see if he can get any momentum on his side. And, you know, had Nate Diaz won this fight, this would have been a major, major upset. But since Jake Paul just, you know, went out all swinging in this matchup, and if there's one thing I've noticed about Jake Paul is that his speed is just unmatched in this, well, I think that Nate Diaz did a decent job, or I would have to say, I think he did a really good job of matching up with Jake Paul's, you know, just striking speed, as I like to call it, you know, when Jake Paul was just swinging all out in the first round. And, you know, that's what it's like watching these boxing fights. You know, it's all about momentum. And with Jake Paul, man, after, I think that's really the way how Jake Paul puts away a lot of his opponents, is just by gaining momentum in the first and the second round, and then, you know, tiring out his opponent. But the only difference, though, is that he didn't really tire out Nate Diaz tonight. You know, he simply tried to find when's the right time to strike, and the timing, you know, with Jake Paul's timing in this boxing matchup, that's really, I think, one area where Jake Paul really excelled. That was just, you know, the timing of where he was going to land his punches and all that stuff. Because when it comes to professional boxing, one factor that really determines the outcome of a fight is just the timing of when you're going to strike your opponent. You know, the speed, when to strike him, and all that stuff. And that's really what Jake Paul was able to really do a brilliant job of today. So I mean, hey, I had Jake Paul winning this fight, of course, you know, just because, I mean, when it comes to Jake Paul, man, you really gotta respect him as a boxer. Okay, I think Jake Paul finally needs the respect that he deserves, especially as a boxer. Like, I mean, he's really taking it to new heights. That in this matchup today, man, Nate Diaz, man, hey, he did his best today, man. Nate Diaz, I still think he should be proud of himself, just because for him to last 10 rounds with Jake Paul, like, I thought this matchup was only going to last like 6 or 5 rounds, especially after Jake Paul got off to a dominant start. But Nate Diaz, man, he wasn't fooling around today. He just really just looked like he wanted to win this fight. But, you know, the only difference is Jake Paul, he just performed better today, just because he was able to land more punches on Nate Diaz, and that's really, I think, was what won Jake Paul the fights tonight. So let me know what y'all thought about this fight, and what a matchup.